So we were introduced to a new and really cool looking dwarven character in the God of War Ragnarok trailer named Durlin. I talked about him a bit in the Things You Missed video that covered the new trailer and mentioned that he's more than likely an interpretation of Durlin from Norse mythology, the dwarf from Norse myth that introduced the realm of Svartalfheim to the writing of runes based on the abundance of scrolls that surround him. He may also have been one of the two dwarves that forged a magical sword known as Tyrfing, which was made for Odin's grandson. Since the two dwarves were forced to make this sword against their wills, Durlin and Durlin cursed the sword out of vengeance to where it would kill someone every time that it was drawn, and ultimately cursed it so that it would even kill its intended owner. Why I mentioned Durlin's role in creating Tyrfing is about to be explained. If Durlin is Sony Santa Monica's interpretation of Durlin from Norse mythology, I think I am able to determine what Durlin's role will be in God of War Ragnarok. I don't think it will be anything dramatic like the idea of him possibly being Odin in disguise, but I do think that he will still be an important character in the game. I simply believe that Durlin will be another dwarven merchant character similar to Brock and Sindri. With all the scrolls around him and the possibility that he also forged the sword Tyrfing that I mentioned earlier, I believe that Durlin will sort of act as a chief blacksmith or even a jack of all trades of sorts. Dwarves in God of War are very reputable for their abilities to create, be it smithing, building, science, or even alchemy. While yes, Durlin doesn't quite look like a blacksmith and appears more like a scholar, I honestly believe that we have seen some of his work before. And before I get into that, I want to also mention that it is entirely possible that Durlin could have even been the designer for a lot of the things we've seen in God of War. With how different the God of War interpretation of Norse mythology is from the source material, Durlin could have played a role in designing some of Brock and Sindri's greatest creations, being the Leviathan axe, the statue of Thor, and maybe even Mjolnir, since there isn't any info that contradicts these things. But the one thing that I am certain that Durlin created is the Guardian Shield. The origins of the shield are never stated, and all we know is that it had previously belonged to Faye, who ended up gifting the shield to Kratos on the anniversary of the night they met. The reason I'm saying this is because a short while after we see Durlin in the trailer, we're shown two new versions of the Guardian Shield, which has been improved to have shape-changing abilities and other things we probably don't know, and one of these new variations are actually shown in action in what appears to be Svartalfheim. Yeah, maybe Brock and Sindri could have been the ones to do it, but think about this. Both of them recognized the Leviathan axe as their work and improved it. Neither of them seemed to recognize the Guardian Shield when they saw Kratos in action and using it. Perhaps they did, but it's never outright stated. But once they introduce Kratos and Atreus to Durlin, I believe that Durlin will recognize his own work and of course improve it accordingly, while also allowing us to hear even more backstory on Faye and our past. Durlin doesn't look to reside in a forge like Brock and Sindri do, so his adjustments to the shield could be something as simple as tinkering with some of the inner workings as long as we bring him the proper materials. Also, here's hoping that he provides us with plenty of side quests to send us to more dwarven ruins. It may even tie into our return to Niflheim to maybe retrieve some lost dwarven knowledge to further aid Durlin in crafting things for us. Who knows? Certainly not me. So what do all of you think Durlin's role could be in God of War Ragnarok? Is he up to no good, or is he just another friendly dwarf that will aid Kratos and Atreus on their journey? Leave your very own theories and ideas in the comments so we can get a discussion going. And of course, thanks again to all of you who watched this and continue to watch my content. Be seeing you.